You are experiencing time right now as each second ticks by, which is impossible for you to experience without your memory. But is this real? Is time real? This is a light bulb, which you can see is clearly flickering, but if you speed it up fast enough, the light will appear constant. However, to certain animals such as a fly, they can still detect that the light is still turning on and off because they see the world in slow motion. They take in more visual information at a faster rate, a rate that varies across different species. Further, time is not always constant relative to an unmoving observer according to Einstein's theory of relativity using measurement tools such as a clock. Measured time can slow down near gravity, and the faster an object travels, the slower time becomes. This concept is especially important for satellites to not miscalculate your location. Photons don't experience time at all because they travel at the speed of light. Because different perspectives of existence provide different experiences of time, the reality of time can be said to be left for interpretation. But what about time itself, in an objective sense? We know that time is present because living things age, and there are evidence to prove the past like dinosaur fossils. Entropy increases because of time, and motion wouldn't exist without it in terms of physics, because motion is the change in position of an object due to time. So to question time itself, let's look to a different direction, the concept of dimensions. The first dimension is simply a line with only length. The second dimension is a plane with length and width. The third dimension has length, width, and depth. Now consider the third dimension to be a point. The fourth dimension is space-time in our perspective, made up of infinite instances of the third dimension, which creates a linear timeline. If forward time exists, backwards time should also be just as real in theory. But it is important to note that the fourth dimension is not always space-time, because when a fourth space dimension is added, the fifth dimension becomes space-time in the 4D being's perspective. This is because there may be more spatial dimensions and even time dimensions. If this is the case, we're only experiencing one dimension of time. There is also an interesting idea known as the grandfather paradox. If you time travel into the past and kill your grandfather, then your grandfather would be dead, and thus one of your parents wouldn't have been born, and you wouldn't have been born to travel back in time to kill your grandfather. However, some people suggest that the solution to this paradox is that when you time travel back, you have actually branched into a new timeline. According to this idea, time is not linear but instead branches into many timelines due to different choices you make. But some studies suggest that time travel is impossible in the first place. But if the branching timeline is true, this timeline should be just as real as this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So, is time real? Yes, in the sense that it is something we humans experience. But no in the sense that it is a tangible object to us, like an apple or a ball. So far, we don't fully understand what time is, its limitations, or its every property. But we can say with certainty that time is both subjective and objective. But it is highly possible that time is much more complex than what we know it to be. Currently, we are still trying to make sense of time, and we have been making progress.